All right, everyone. I can't seem to find the banner to do our traditional input. Uh, Hopefully, everything's coming through. I have, you know, technical problems. Don't even uh, escape the supposedly technically savvy people. So I'm looking at a green screen right now, but I think it's all coming through. Hopefully everything's working properly, and it is going to be just me today. So for those few people that do join our live streams, thank you. I'm glad you're here. It'll be probably pretty short. I do tend to do a little less talking when Adam's not around. So we can get this going pretty quick. But again, thank you, and for those that are watching this recorded, again, thank you for jumping in here. And we do encourage you guys to comment. I think today's topic is going to be a little bit more. I have a little bit more opinion to it, and how you approach this. So I do really want to hear from you guys, and would encourage you to drop some comments in there and get some discussion going back and forth. This is obviously a very big part of our requirements and working with our customers is doing asset management. But before I get into that, little housekeeping. It is just me today. Adam has taken on a bit of a conference tour, I guess. He's hitting a couple of spots up. Today he's at MSP Minds. So if you're not familiar with that one, you might want to look that one up. It's a very interesting event, and he's given us some good feedback. This was our first one to go to, and we're excited to get out there. More than anything, we like meeting and talking with MSPs. We see our members, we see new people, and we get lots of input, and just really enjoy connecting with the community when we get out and about to do that. So that's Adam today. So for me, we are following our plan. You guys might have heard me talk about this in the past, and our Adam as well. We do have a 12-month structure for these engagements, and the reason why I bring that up is just kind of reinforce. Not everything goes to plan, right? Things get busy. You're working on all kinds of stuff. This week, I woke up one morning this week, and we had no electricity. Now, I'm in Houston, and yes, we've kind of taken a black eye with our utility power, which we used to be really proud of down here in Texas, and things haven't been so great in the last few years. And so I'm like, what now? And so I go out, and I don't hear any generators running in the neighborhood. And so I'm like, this is just me. And sure enough, my air conditioner tried to melt my breaker box, and so it was just me without power. So those sort of events just happen, but we're able to still stay on track and at least keep moving in our intended direction when we have an intention. So I highlight the plan that we have. You can go out to our events page and see that entire 12-month cycle out there, and see if that's anything that would apply to you. Take snippets of that, customize that, make that your own. But more than anything, we always encourage you to have a plan for how you're going to be engaging with your clients long term. And then as life, some events, CrowdStrike or anything else that comes up, those are going to make waves in what you're doing, but you're still able to go in the right direction. And so on that topic, today is asset management. So we're rounding out Q3. I know a lot of people are already gearing up and getting ready for end of year meetings. We've been talking about these for a while, and asset management always comes up throughout the year, but now is a really good spot to take a look at that. And it's not so much that we're looking at what we're going to talk to our clients about in this next quarter, but we want to be getting ready to set expectations for next year. And that long-term sort of forecasting and budgeting with your clients is really, really important, because setting those expectations removes a lot of barriers and a lot of friction that comes up when these assets do need to be replaced. So, and sometimes it's not just the assets, sometimes it is the cost associated with those assets. One of the things that I hear from a lot of our members so often is Meraki. and that renewal that comes up. Now, I haven't worked with Meraki too much. I was kind of stepping away from the keyboard when Meraki was really coming to the forefront. But what little time I did have on that, I was very impressed. It is a great technology solution, has a lot of possibilities to it. But one of the things I hear pretty often is this renewal. And for, I'm sure, a variety of reasons, many times it comes up rather unexpectedly and can be rather expensive. So getting in front of this and being able to provide this forecast, whether it is a cost associated with an asset or specific asset renewals, those are really, really valuable to you and your team to help smooth out your process and your engagement with your clients. You definitely don't want to be showing up saying, hey, right quick, we need to have you guys write a $30,000 check so all your wireless doesn't go off next week. That is not a good place to be. And this idea of, hey, let's set expectations, let's set budget, that's really critical to what we're doing. Features in our platform, if you're interested in that, please reach out and let us know. I think those are really, not only good for engagements, they're also good for your efficiencies as a team. And I've talked about this several times, especially if you've done onboarding with us here of late, and the way our budget module works. Regardless of the software, there's a really important element that I think we need to consider as we start talking more about this. And that is your quoting and selling process. Now, it's a little bit different for everybody. And I don't think anybody has just got the perfect process, the perfect tool, the perfect team to get it done without a hitch. Right? There's always challenges in figuring out what that quote is going to look like, whether it's the scope, the specific bill of materials, getting a config review, price deviations, discounts, promos. There's a lot of complex things that go into that. And so it can be a very time consuming, meaning a very expensive solution for your organization when you're getting those quotes out the door. And one of the things that you can do to make that process more profitable. Okay. Now, when I say profitable, I'm really thinking of it more of as a manager approach. All right. And the time that we put into it. If I'm looking at, say, my group of engineers and I'm having to pull them off of projects, I'm pulling them off the support desk so they can help contribute to building the BOM, scoping things out. That is time. That's an expense for me that I expect to get a return on in general. All right. Somewhat from the company perspective, maybe we're allocating specific, project back into my department or whatever. All right. But that's an expense. And if I'm looking at that and my expense is really high, meaning I've got engineers that are spending hours and hours a week putting out material for quotes, and the return on that is very, very small, that hurts, right? That hurts my bottom line. But if I'm looking at that and going, hey, for every 4 hours of time that we're putting in, we're getting a return that's really high because these deals are closing with very little revisions, very little pushback from, or very little friction in some cases from our clients. How do we get to that efficiency? How do we get to that higher profitability rate in our quoting efforts? We do that by setting client expectations. So with assets, whatever you're doing, you definitely want to get those in front of your client, set those long-term expectations so that they are comfortable knowing what's going to be coming up, and be flexible with it. I mean, we have a feature in our platform, again, where you can set kind of your default budget expectations and depreciation expectations with your clients. And so you can say, hey, as a general rule, we recommend that you run a standard workstation for 4 years, and its replacement cost is going to be $1,500, whatever that is. You get to decide and pick that. And so you sit down with your clients and you say, hey, this is the expectation that we have. And then you have a discussion. Is that really what matches for your clients? Are they running maybe a little more resource intensive applications that they want to kind of stay a little bit closer to the technology refresh rate of, new technologies, new features, so they get some performance enhancements out of that? Are they running something that's really low key? And, to be honest, you could run any old workstation and it would work just fine. There's all sorts of variances that go into that. And those are really valuable to understand, because once you're able to sit down with your clients and make sure that their needs, their voice is being heard in your asset management and asset budgeting conversations, then they're part of the process. They feel like they've contributed. And when those assets come up for renewal, they're like, okay, we've already talked about this. We already know that it's time to do this, rather than you going out in every single month or quarter or whatever cycle you're on with whatever group of devices that are needing to be replaced. You're having to have this conversation over and over and over again. And that is, wearing you and your clients out. So when we can do these kind of in bulk and set longer term expectations, we're going to really smooth out the road going forward. So whatever process you're using, like I said, I really like ours, and I'm going to talk about a few other features because I think they really kind of key in. But back to my old, silly statement of you can use a Big Chief tablet and a number 2 pencil. Whatever you're going to do, make sure you're setting the appropriate long-term expectations with your clients around asset management, right? Listen to them, hear what they have to say. There's lots of times when you look at an asset and you go, they really just need to run a browser. We could probably get this done with a Chromebook of some sort, but there are other features, there are other management tools that you want, or there's the one-offs, there's the in the grand scheme of things sort of ideas, and have those discussions with your client so that, again, when it comes back down, they don't necessarily need to understand all the technical elements. They need to understand, do these devices meet our business needs? And when you meet those needs, those asset conversations go much, much better. And you kind of flare things out into some other opportunities. You have conversations with clients and they're like, yes, I know we need to redo those assets, but we're a little tight on cash right now. I've had to cut hours on my team because we don't have the cash flow to support this. All right. Be a team player. All right. If your client is giving you that sort of information, then the last thing you want to do is go, okay, well, that's really rough. Okay, so are we going to renew all these PCs next month? All right. No, that's not the appropriate conversation. So yes, we want to push those out. And I know that happens pretty often. I'm not saying you guys don't listen to that. All right. But there's a two-way street in that. And this is really important. And you won't get into these conversations until you look a little further out. So if your client says, wow, we're really strapped for cash right now, we can't do that, understand what their cash flow is looking like. What is their expectations on that? And so when you position those assets so it's meeting their cash flow, that's obviously a positive, but that also feeds into other things. Are there other projects that we need to time for that? Are there other upgrades that maybe have not reached the depreciation cycle, but they're really close? And you can have conversations with your clients around, hey, since we're doing this now and you said your cash flow is a little bit up at this time, would you want to go ahead and get ahead of the curve to do this one? And that would buy you a little bit more time later, maybe for the next cycle. And again, part of that, you being the team player in this asset discussion, is really going to make you a more valuable member of the relationship there. So keep those in mind. I kind of wrapping a few things up here. It's kind of weird going at this by myself. We usually have at least Richard. I could have got him on, but I kind of missed the memo, I guess, or something. So I was scrambling here at the last minute. Still had a plan though. All right. So had that down there. But as we get these going, one of the things that I want to highlight is the circle back around. Okay. And this is I'm kind of keying off a feature in our tool, but it is an important element that we need to understand. And that's, as you go into these engagements with your clients, as you're setting these budget expectations, don't always expect to get the yes answer. And I think sometimes we work really hard for that. We build up our internal expectations of, hey, we've got to talk to the client about this. We've got to really work. We got to get them to sign off on this. And if they're not comfortable with that, they're going to push back. They're going to say, yes, this looks really good. Yes, I think we really need to do this, but I need to check on something. I need to do something else. And factor that into your process. Let your clients do that. You need a way to make them comfortable with that. And it's going to take some follow-up. All right. Maybe you're sharing information. Maybe you're sharing personas through our platform. Maybe you're using our budget tool where you can actually send that over. They can review it. When they review it and give you the thumbs up on it, it automatically updates your project roadmap. However you're doing that, make sure that that's already a defined process in there, and it's not something that you're kind of having to deal with at the last minute. Because I don't know, I couldn't, probably if I had a perfect memory, I probably couldn't keep count of all the times that we rolled into a client, had a fantastic conversation, left 100% certain that the deal was going to close, but we actually didn't have the official approval just yet. We were waiting on something else, some external, or sometimes it's just a little bit of time. So make sure you're factoring that in with your clients. All right. I guess starting it late, maybe a few people didn't join, so I'm not seeing anything from our chats and comments yet. So if anybody's out there, throw out a question or a comment here. I'm trying to wrap it up. We'll make this a short one today, but just want to kind of remind everyone, in the grand scheme of things, we are coming up on the end of the year. There are things, there's probably an asset or two in the list that we need to make sure we get done before the end of the year. But more than anything, you do need to be looking at that 2025 timeframe and even further. All right, giving that flexibility to your clients. As you know, we've talked about a few times, this being an election year, a lot of people are thinking about things. And as that election closes and the outcomes be whatever they are, there are going to be a lot of business owners that step back and go, okay, now that that's been done, and they're going to be looking to maybe 2026, maybe 2028. All right. Anything that you can put out there makes you part of the broader plan, the bigger experience that you can provide to your clients. All right. That's it. We'll be back next week and kicking off our Q4 activities. I will put this little to-do out there for you. We'll talk more about it, but it is year-end meetings. It is very strategic focused. And if you don't have meetings on the calendar right now, you need to do that. Even if you don't have an agenda, even if you're not sure what you need to talk about, you need to get those meetings on the calendar right away. Just a few hours ago, I was meeting with someone and we were talking about their QBR process and their challenges. And I asked them about that. And they said their number one challenge, I kind of chuckled because I hear it all the time. Their number one challenge, just getting the meetings accepted, just getting someone to accept the invite button or hit the invite button. So you need to be working on that, because those year-end meetings are very, very important to setting expectations for everything that you're doing with your client in 2025. And yes, Q4 is here, so we are very focused on those strategic elements. That's everyone. Richard, thanks for chiming in, making sure I've. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to read that. Both Richard and Richard. We got a couple of them out there. Thanks, guys, for chiming in there. I appreciate that. And with that, we will wrap things up and see you guys next week. If I can figure out how to close the meeting. All right. I can't. So with that, I'll just sign off. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.